So in the HSR community, power creep discussions are now everywhere. Twitter is discussing if casters will break the game, Reddit is discussing if Acheron is still tier 0, and Discord communities are still posting pictures of Firefly. Amidst the war zone is the #1 Hoyo shill, MrPokke. A while ago, MrPokke AoE taunted the entire community with one tweet. He pretty much said that power creep isn't as oppressive as people are making it out to be, and even if you're free to play, you can still clear the endgame, so long as you make smart decisions. No matter what your opinion is on this take, these opinions are the wrong opinions. Make a free-to-play account to prove your point. Making a free-to-play alt would prove your point and would be free content. I generally agree, but even as a greedy and stupid player, I can still clear MOC. Sure, I miss a star or two. Wuthering slot players angry that their 2.0 patch will never reach the heights of pinnacle. Are we watching the same video? Why is this comment under this video? What the hell's going on? So eventually, MrPokke did decide to create a fresh free-to-play account. He named it Project Bob. The point of Bob was to show that making smart decisions is the main factor in deciding if a free-to-play can clear. And it is really entertaining to watch a new account try to clear the HP inflated stuff. Now this is honestly pretty cool, right? A Giga Whale with an unrelatable account steps down to the level of the peasants in order to learn their hardships, in order to learn their struggles. It's like the millionaire who pretended to be homeless so he could prove that anyone could make $1 million. Except it's about how strong anime girls are. Now at face value, there aren't many issues with this idea, right? Maybe besides the fact that MrPokke has access to the creator experience server, so he gets like a beta experience. The average player won't have access to things like that, so they don't have that insight that he has. But there isn't anything Bob does that a normal player can't do. If anything, players that care enough about something like Bob will already be watching the leaks. So now you wouldn't expect this to cause war, right? You wouldn't expect people to be angry, right? Nope, he has executive account managers, stupid. Bob is unrelatable. Yes, you heard me, executive account managers. People in his community log deep inside Bob's account, clears all the story, all the side quests, picks up all the chests, does Divergent Universe rewards, all of that. So now the narrative has changed. It started with, your account isn't free to play, so you wouldn't understand what I'm saying. Now it's like, okay, your account is free to play, but is it really though? Like, you're not even playing on the account. What's the point of free to play if you have a council playing your account for you? Lamau. Pointless. I don't really know that account managers should be okay on this account, purely because one of the biggest burdens free-to-play players deal with is the large amount of time investment needed to get their resources. Keep yourself whoa! What the hell? Okay, nah, respectfully, if Pokke can't even be asked to farm the relics for this account himself, then he's clearly not interested in trying to make it an actual free-to-play adjacent account. Bitch! What the fuck is a free-to-play adjacent account? An account is either free-to-play or not free-to-play. This is so true, because part of being a true free-to-play is the tremendous amount of time we put in. The main reason we feel anger and sadness when our characters do not perform well is because we feel our time has been wasted and it was all in vain. If Pokke does not experience that time, then I can't regard him as a true free-to-play. He's just playing on someone else's account basically, because I'm the only motherfucker who should. Guys, I don't know if you know this yet, but HSR is a gacha game. The amount of things you can even grind is limited. After you do your dailies and use your Trailblaze power, the real meaningful things that you can do are gone. It's not a Pokemon game. Bob isn't entering MOC 1 with the level 100 Pikachu. I feel the reason it's not a good representation of free-to-play isn't because he has executive account managers, but because his polling plan isn't based on enjoyment of the game or what characters he likes. It's solely for meta and proving a point. Oh my god, someone has a brain. This changes everything. I can understand where this point is coming from. Bob is only pulling for meta. I think we can all agree that most people pull for like a mix of their favorite characters and the meta. So this is completely valid criticism. But this part of this message doesn't really sit right with me. They're basically saying that pulling for meta defeats the purpose of the game, and the true purpose of the game is pulling for your favorite characters. If this is what you play gacha games for, Bob is already irrelevant to you. He doesn't really represent your player base in the first place, but also it's impossible to umbrella your reason for playing the game onto other people's reasons for playing the game. Everyone plays for different reasons. You can pull a unit for their character and their place in the meta. Me personally, I started in patch 2.0 because I saw Sparkle, and I saw that she was racist. What I find kind of cringe about some of these creators is their attempt to speak for free-to-plays and low spenders when they themselves spend cash on the game. They have to. They are content creators, but then they don't truly understand the free-to-play experience. They can only go off their tight bubble communities. So first off, let me just say, I don't agree at all that just because you spend money, you can't understand the free-to-play experience or low spender experience. But this idea kind of caught my eye. They can only go off their tight bubble communities. And this is true. Sometimes people just get into tight-knit communities and they only talk with each other, so they just like echo chambered the same ideas. So I decided to join MrPokke's Discord myself. I asked one of the executive account managers his opinion on the Bob account, and here's what he had to say. Hello, Bread Creamy. Would it be alright if I ask you some questions about HSR?
Yeah, sure.
What are your thoughts on the Bob account?
Ooh, this is a long one. Someone please help. I have been held captive inside his basement for 3 years now. He has been forcing me to collect overworld chests for 15 hours and replay the same episodes over and over and over. As someone that helps out on the account as well with planning and clearing content, slave, I personally thought that Bob was a great way to get people to understand that power creep as an F2P can be mitigated with careful planning. However, a lot of people still classify Bob to be unrelatable due to having executive account managers, slaves, helping out on the account, which in my opinion, is completely unwarranted as we needed to get the video up as soon as possible and we only had a week to clear all content, when others had more than a year.
So here, I learned that Bob is supposed to actually pseudo-represent a longer-term player. Bob is not trying to prove that you can clear the endgame as a new free-to-play player. No, I think it's much more on the lines of, these are the things you can do in order to clear better as a free-to-play. It's just that Bob has to no-life his way up to the endgame to catch up to where most players already are. Now, these people are just randoms, right? Randoms with random opinions always appear in every community, they always exist, but someone pretty prevalent in the community also had this to say.
MrPokke's about to clear MOC with E1 trivia on his Bob account. I'm gonna be real with you, bro. Best of luck with Pokey and all his content. I think his Bob account is completely fucking pointless. I genuinely do. Because what's happening here is you pretty much have somebody playing that account all day long. No free-to-play player is doing what they're doing on that account. The Bob account is no-lifing every single ounce of the game in 3.0. They're playing the game non-stop from start to fucking finish. They're not playing the game out of enjoyment. They're doing it just to prove a point. But the average person is not gonna log on to HSR in 3.0 and play every fucking thing in the game. Nobody's doing that. I'm sorry, nobody is doing that. It's because it's not even fun. It's torturous. I feel like at this point, I guess you're trying to go to the highest extremes to just prove a point, essentially.
War commence. So let me finally answer the question in the title. Is MrPokke's free-to-play account pointless? No. The main argument for Bob being pointless and worthless. He has account managers and they complete everything in the game for him. Therefore, Pokey himself is not getting the true free-to-play player experience. And the executive account managers doing everything in the game is unrealistic, and he's receiving more resources than the average player because the average player doesn't do all the stuff in the game. So for this argument, let's be honest, no one cares. The true free-to-play player experience does not exist, okay? Well, not that it doesn't exist, but it doesn't mean anything. We are in a casino, right? Like, all of us are on slot machines in a casino. I could put in my 100 free-to-play tickets and get E2 Casterus, right? And you could put in your 100 free-to-play tickets and get Yanqing. The point is, there's no consistent way to gauge an account being free to play. And that's the main thing that I feel like everyone's missing or everyone's not talking about. I completely agree with Gacha Smack saying that nobody does everything in the game. My dumbass did it, and I saved up like 800 pulls, But not many people are as dumb as I am. But I do feel like Gacha Smack and everyone who doesn't approve of the account managers is missing the fact that account managers are not the main flaw. The main flaw of Bob is the fact that gacha games are inherently dog shit. Recently, Bob did his E1 Tribby pools. He won both his 50/50s and got an early one at 30 pity. Now you're on the other side of the casino wondering what the hell is all that noise, as you see Bob super fucking excited frolicking in the corner of the casino. As you look back at the result of your slot machine, you just got your 4th buy loot. You are devastated as you bought the $5 monthly pass. You got a piece of shit, while Bob got E1 Tribby, even though you spent 60 more tickets than him. Now, do you see the issue here? Let's be generous, and let's say that doing everything in the game will net you 60 extra pulls. It doesn't, but let's say it does. Raise your hand if there's been a time where 60 pulls has done absolutely nothing for you. Right here. Me. I got Bailu in 83. That's me. Sure, it's true that Bob will get more resources than the average player because he does farm everything. But there's no way that that's the main issue with Bob. The fact that the main currency is put into a slot machine already means that Bob's extra pulls from doing everything can turn into nothing real quick. Bob had a 0% chance to be completely relatable because gacha games are inherently dog shit, and because I lost my Tribby 50/50. So yes, Bob is flawed. The gacha system makes Bob inherently flawed, but Bob is not pointless. Bob is not pointless, but it's also not a good representation of free-to-play players because it's literally impossible to be one. The odds of a new account being a good representation for the majority of the player base is super small. The only way I think an account can be a decent showing of the average player is if they follow the mathematical statistical average of getting a limited 5-star. Now, according to some Chinese data, the statistical average amount of pulls needed to get an E0S0 is 89.46 pulls, and the average for an E0S1 is 154.6 pulls. So if we wanted Bob to be a good representation of the average, every 5-star that he pulls would have to take about 89 summons. Now, needless to say, we can't really do this, which is why it's impossible for Bob to be perfect, but I did find the war to be very entertaining, and I wanted to share it with you guys. The unfortunate thing about Bob trying to be relatable is the fact that he can never truly get lucky. If Bob somehow gets an E2 Castress in one 10 pull, everyone would proceed to call the account pointless. Bob would never be relatable ever again. If that happens, Bob should just in-game. Honestly, I really hope that happens because the comment section would be very entertaining. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. I'm gonna take my cat out because she's freaking the fuck out. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Say goodbye. Oh, yo, whoa.